everyone, I'm Cathleen Trigg-Jones and welcome to another iWoman report. 2 years, that's the latest warning from World Health experts about how long we can expect to be battling this COVID-19 pandemic. They say this deadly virus could just be getting started, and a second wave, they warn, could be worse than the first. I know that's certainly not the news that any of us wanted to hear, as many of us were hoping and preparing, even praying to get back to work and start getting our lives back on track. Which brings me to our big question of the day. Have you or do you want to get the COVID-19 antibody test just so that you can know whether you've been exposed and whether or not you're immune as we migrate back into society? And also, will knowing even make a difference anyway? Answer yes or no on our iWomanTV Instagram poll or right here on the screen. I did go get tested, actually, this week. I'm going to share those results with you on our next episode. But right now, let's dive into the top stories that we're covering today. President Trump threatens revenge against China and claims to have evidence COVID-19 started in a Chinese lab. Armed protests erupt in some states over reopening, as New York announces it will not reopen schools this year. The results of our latest poll shows the majority of you are over all of this sheltering in place, and with tensions mounting, our Liz Samuel says now more than ever, you may want to try getting in touch with your inner self with some tips on meditating. So have we been getting a false sense of hope and reality with the coronavirus numbers seemingly leveling off or even declining in many states across the nation? Well, what's not declining is the number of deaths. So why such a mixed message? While many states are literally fighting to reopen, New York's Governor Cuomo is playing it very safe. He announced yesterday there's just no way to practice social distancing in schools enough. So the state's nearly 3 million students, including my own 2 high schoolers, will remain homeschooled until September.
Schools have asked about summer school and whether we'll have attendance in schools for summer school. That decision will be made by the end of this month. Again, nobody can predict what the situation is going to be 3-4 weeks from now. So we're trying to stage decisions at intervals that give us the information, but also enough time for people to make the preparations they need to make.
Well, I can tell you, we are living in a very divided nation, with protesters in some states taking matters into their own hands and storming government offices. Seeing the images around the country makes you wonder, what is our nation coming to? A new warning indicates the coronavirus is far from over, but you wouldn't know it seeing these armed protesters storming the state capitol in Michigan and demanding the governor lift the state's shelter-in-place order and get Americans' economy back on track.
How did they come up with this number of 6 feet? I think they just pulled it out of their rear end.
I've had enough of being told what I can and cannot do. I've had enough of worrying about bills and making money.
You can't put a hard and fast timeline because a lot of this depends on human behavior and our ability to observe these best practices.
Well, I can tell you that President Trump is once again turning to Twitter to show his support for the armed protesters. Armed protesters, can we sit with that for just a minute? They're taking over a state capitol. Let's just stop for just a second to think about this. It's hard to imagine that that's okay in any other place, but this is legal in Michigan, which is a right to carry state. I'm going to get on to more of that in my thought of the day. But right now, let's take a look at the poll that you took earlier this week. The results of our latest poll asked if the majority of you think the economy should reopen, even if it means that things could get worse. And yes, 76% of you said that you are willing to take that risk. However, Donald Trump is leaving that decision up to individual governors as he focuses his attention on how to punish China for not doing more to control the novel coronavirus.
This is something that could have been contained at the original location, and I think it could have been contained relatively easily. China is a very sophisticated country, and they could have contained it. They were either unable to or they chose not to. And the world has suffered greatly.
President Trump said he is trying to determine exactly what action to take against China, indicating that he has seen evidence that the coronavirus came from a Wuhan lab. But is now really the time to be picking a war with China?
I'm going to be able to find it.
And my question is, have you seen anything at this point that gives you a high degree of confidence that the Wuhan Institute of Virology was the origin of this virus?
Yes, I have. Yes, I have.
I have to say, this is all enough to really make your head spin, literally, which is why mental health experts say it's really important sometimes to just turn off all of this bad news and try to get grounded by focusing on some of the positives. So let's pause just a moment and bring in our Liz Samuel for some tips on just how to block out the noise and get reconnected with our inner selves. So Liz, we are in a Zen kind of mood today, right?
Yes.
Yes. I mean, it's so necessary right now to just kind of come inside, turn off the news, and relax.
And relax. And meditation is key to that. You know, this is a strange time and people are feeling anxious and stressed and worried about their health and what's going to happen with life as we know it. But studies show that meditation can manage this stress and boost your mood, curb your food cravings, and generally give you a sense of peace and calm. I was completely resistant to meditation up until a few months ago, and people were really pushing this 21 day of abundance, this Deepak Chopra meditation. With Oprah, yeah. And I kept saying, it's not for me, it's not for me. I'm a busy person, I don't have time for this. Wow. After the first 2 or 3, I was like, this is amazing. It sets you up for the day. It only takes a few minutes to sit down and start your meditation. It gives you this general sense of calm and peace, especially during this time when everything's really uncertain. I think meditation can help you. It can help with your health and your mood and these food cravings, right? And you can find meditations on YouTube. You can find apps. There's great apps like Insight Timer and Calm, and there's another one, Headspace. I've tried all of them. They're all great. You just have to find the one that really speaks to you. Not only will it give you a sense of calm, but I think it also will give you it will bring you to your higher purpose, and you can figure things out about yourself internally.
Yeah, I'm a firm believer. I really am. I do wake up every morning. If I do nothing else, I make sure I meditate, and it just gives me a minute to connect and, like you said, to give thanks and to just really remember that as bad as sometimes things might seem, and even before Corona, like sometimes you just have those days where you're not really sure. And I find that when you allow yourself to go inside and just be thankful for the fact that you've even woken up this morning, and that you open your eyes, and that you have a heartbeat, and that you have your life, because not everybody woke up, so I try to do that every day.
That's awesome. And I can tell that about you too, because you have a very calm voice. And I think that probably has to do with the way, like, you have a calm presence, and I think that is part of your meditation practice probably coming through. But when I first wake up, I say, this is going to be the greatest day. And it sounds kind of cheesy and cliche. Yeah. It's better just to wake up with a happy thought. You got to brush away whatever dreams you had or whatever you woke up with, and just start, whether it's meditation or prayer. Some people use prayer, which meditation and prayer kind of are the same.
Very similar.
Very similar. Get yourself centered and find that peace and that calm to move forward.
Perfect. All right. Wow. Well, thank you very much for that reminder. Sometimes we just need a reminder.
Yes, exactly.
All right. Happy meditating.
Happy meditating.
Thanks, Liz. Certainly great advice to keep you going throughout your week. Well, before I leave you, I do want to share my thoughts on what's going on in our country. We're living in a war right now. And I'm not just talking about the war on Corona. We are in a battle between governments, Republicans versus Democrats, states against states, and the majority versus the minorities, rich versus poor. And what's at stake? Our people's lives. Since when can armed protesters storm a government building and be called good people by our president? I don't want to turn this into a race game, but I am going to say what I know that many in the Black community are thinking. Black men are gunned down for even suspecting they may have a gun. Shoot now, ask questions later has become the accepted policy in far too many tragic cases to name in our country. So while I do agree that states do need to start regrouping and thinking about how to reopen, using semi-automatic assault rifles to threaten a governor to make a decision should never be allowed anywhere. Reopening should only happen with the proper measures in place to protect all citizens, not just those who can afford to protect themselves. We are the United States of America, not in anarchy. And our president, unfortunately, is failing at the basic job that he has of calling on all of the governors to be united at this time more than ever, instead of making rogue decisions that may only cost more innocent lives. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop me a line, and please don't forget to answer our latest poll at iWomanTV. Until the next iWoman Report, everyone, please stay healthy, stay happy, and stay safe.